Good morning. Well, today I was thinking about things and I wanted to do a video of people's perception of gardening and the money people have. There's a relationship between gardening and money, and I think a lot of people that haven't engaged in any kind of gardening have a problem understanding. So, first off, I'd like you to imagine gardening as a benefit. Like, when people look at the health benefits of some superfoods like cayenne peppers, right? There's a whole bunch of health benefits, and you could imagine, you know, all the different superfoods, right? So there's a whole series of benefits associated with having that, you know, cayenne pepper. And I think a lot of people make an error in thinking on how to view gardening, right? Because they want to associate it with the money. So I want to try to clarify to people on maybe a more correct way of thinking about it. So let's take this back to the pioneer days. And what those people did in the pioneer days is they came here and they set up a homestead, and they had a big giant, they had to farm the land for necessity. And they had a list of priorities, right, back then. So they would have grown foods that they could preserve, like turnips, potatoes, carrots, onions, and they would have made spaghetti sauce. They would have grew a lot of foods that were good for preserving in their cold cellars. So everything was a necessity based thing, by and large, and that's what they would have done. So let's go to modern day gardening and homesteading that we do now. People have, the whole wide variation of the engagement into this, activity of gardening. Or, some people it's just flowers, some people it's just landscape architecture and things like that. But one of the common errors I think people fall into is that they see money as gardening as a money value. Like, why would I grow carrots when I can just buy them for $3? What a waste of time. Blah 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 blah. I don't have time for this shit. And and I think that's the cognitive error that's being taken place. Now, if you imagine gardening as a series of benefits, because there's all kinds of benefits, let's look them up, right? And money is one of them. Now, if you're really clever and you're innovative and you're creative and you recycle and you reduce and reuse, that money benefit, and if you're growing things that have good value on the shelves, you can go to the grocery store, look around and see what's expensive. You're going to be able to gain from that benefit more or less. Now, here's an error that people also make is that, they'll start out and they'll go spend thousands of dollars and they'll buy, all these garden beds, and they'll buy the best dirt, and they'll buy all the chemicals, fertilizers. They'll spend thousands potentially just on a small little homestead. And they're not getting the value in the produce. And this is one of the problems that people come with. So everything gets associated only with the monetary value that they deduce with. And I think this is a problem, and this is a discouraging issue for a lot of people. And so I think that it's trying to establish a more appropriate way of viewing gardening activities. And I would invite you to think of it like as a benefit, and the monetary part of that benefit is something that is highly adjustable. Now, eventually, when you become really creative and you're recycling and you're making your own compost and you're doing all these little things, the benefit gets bigger, right? Eventually, you start your own seedlings, You're not spending hundreds of dollars a year on seedlings, and you know, you become more and more self-sufficient and more self-reliant. Now, if you're really thrifty, you know, you're going to find things to recycle. A lot of people do that. Like I do that. Look at all those buckets I got. All those buckets I got them for free. Somebody threw them out. It's a beautiful resource, you see. You know, rather than spending whatever they cost, $5 each, right? So you know, if you really want to get that benefit and really, you know, try to get the maximum monetary benefit from this, it's possible. But when some people doom and gloom the fact that, you know, like, oh well, you know, this tomato's only going to give me $1 worth of tomatoes, but I spent 20. You know, this is the doom and gloom type of thinking that pollutes and toxifies people's minds, and then that prevents them from engaging in the activity. So you really have to reframe it in the appropriate way, because it is the appropriate way to think about it, in my opinion. I'm being just speculative here. You know, think of it as a benefit, and you have control of how much of that benefit you can gain from. So those are my thoughts for today, and I hope that maybe, you know, it'll change the way people perceive you know, this activity. It's not just about the money. It's about a series of benefits, and you have control of those benefits, and you can you know, really widen the gap if you wanted. You could potentially save, in non-expenditure, you could save thousands of dollars in, you know, produce if you're really thrifty about what you're doing and creative and innovative and finding solutions that work. And that's part of the enjoyment of it as well. You're not part of the headache. So everyone, hope you have a great day.